Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you out to today's oath of office ceremony. We appreciate all of you in attendance. It's our great honor to gather here today and honor our newly elected council members, Larry Page, Dave Adams, and Jake Garn, seated up here to your right. We also would like to recognize, which I'll have the opportunity to introduce in a moment, our special guest, Attorney General Sean Reyes. It's an honor to have him with us here today. Also recognize other members of the Kaysville City Council who have joined us today, members of the city staff. We appreciate you being here in attendance. Our program will go as follows. We will have an opening prayer that will be offered by former United States Senator Jake Garn, after which Jeanette and Mikkel Mehmet will pleasure us with the national anthem.
Our Father in heaven, we bow our heads in humility with thankful hearts for our many blessings, especially the blessing of the freedoms that we enjoy in the United States of America. How fortunate we are to live here and have all of the opportunities that freedom grants us. Please be with us at all times to bless us, that we understand what a great country this is, and that we contribute back to it in response for all the blessings that we have received. Please be with us throughout this day and through the coming week, and we say this humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red-glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Senator Garn, for providing our opening prayer, and for Jeanette and Mikkel for inviting a little bit of heaven into our patriotic program today. So thank you very much for that. We'll move right into our program, which is the administering the oath of office to our newly elected officials. Affected might be applicable too, the more I think about it. Certainly, serving in a public office is something that is not always easy. Anyone who is willing to run for public office has shown and demonstrated that they care enough about our community, our country, to give back and give time. We give thanks to our elected officials, our newly elected officials, for being willing to put themselves out there. We express our appreciation to your families, as you'll come to know, and those who are currently serving. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. I also recognize that we have our local representative, Brad Wilson, here, who has also joined us that I failed to recognize earlier. So welcome, Representative Wilson. It's my great honor to introduce our special guest today, Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes. He asked me not to read his whole bio. Maybe I'll just point out a couple of things. I did attend his oath of office ceremony a couple of years ago and thought it was pretty cool. I served my mission in the Philippines, and he is part Filipino. And his father performed a Filipino song as part of his oath of office. And for fear of clearing the room quickly, I won't attempt to do anything like that, even though I still speak Tagalog. But Attorney General Reyes really doesn't need much of an introduction. He's very well known across the state. In 2013, at the age of 42, he was appointed by Governor Gary Herbert as Utah's 21st Attorney General. He took over the office racked with scandal and inefficiency in the midst of some of the most significant constitutional issues in the state history, and within a year, he reorganized and re-energized the office internally and recaptured the trust of the state with striking leadership, innovative programs, and historic wins against drug dealers, human traffickers, child predators, and white-collar criminals. After winning an election in 2014 by one of the largest margins nationwide, Attorney General Reyes was selected in 2015 by the Republican National Committee as one of its 4 national rising stars. Prior to taking office, he was a partner in a small venture fund, general counsel for a tech company, and litigation partner at Utah's largest private law firm. He's been honored nationally and locally with a long list of awards for his legal skills, leadership, and unparalleled commitment to public service, and has founded and served on multiple nonprofit organizations. One thing I would probably add to that is his clear choice of good judgment. He shared with me this morning he had the opportunity to attend the Salt Lake Mayor's swearing-in ceremony, or a little less stuffy up here in Kaysville. I would say he made the right choice. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Attorney General Sean Reyes.
Salamat po, Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Before I begin, though, I have to take care of one item of critical state business, and if you'll indulge me, just a moment. Make sure I got the senator there, and then my colleagues here that I will be swearing in, the newly infected, as the mayor made reference to. I could kind of see images of Walking Dead, Kaysville episode there. I appreciate that for the archives. It is truly a privilege to be here. One thing I noticed was, as great of a job as Mayor Hyatt's doing, he doesn't take direction very well. I told him to skip the intro, and he went ahead and gave a sort of a bifurcated, truncated version. But he's been infected, he says. Also, he mentioned something, and I appreciated his mentioning. My dad is an immigrant from the Philippines. His uncle was President Ramon Magsaysay, who was a very great leader in the Philippines, Time Magazine Man of the Year, but shortly after President Magsaysay's administration, a young politician, I should say, came into power named Ferdinand Marcos and proceeded to chase my family away. My dad had a very comfortable life, had been a recognized artist and movie producer and director, and had paintings in the Vatican, and a very comfortable situation, had 2 homes for his family, and could not stop speaking out against Marcos, and because of that was chased away, and fortunately was accepted here in the United States, where he made his home, and always reminded me, son, whatever you can do to give back to this country, whether it's at a federal level, a state level, or at a local level, you need to do that. And so in honor of my dad, I appreciate the reference for the son of an immigrant to stand here before this good group and to be able to participate in civics at its most important level. It's truly an honor. It's interesting, too, one other just aside, when I became Attorney General, the ambassador of the Philippines all of a sudden called me and said, next time you're in D.C., please visit. So when I did, he sat me down and said, Sean, you realize that you're the highest ranking Filipino American in the United States right now. Up to you, we had the Deputy Assistant Undersecretary of the Federal Aviation Association, which is really nice, but it's great to have an Attorney General. He said, just know this, the hopes, dreams, aspirations, and pride of all the Filipino people here in America and around the world rest on your shoulders now, so don't blow it. I said, hey, no problem. And so I in some ways commend that same message to you here, Councilman-elect, that the hopes, dreams, aspirations, and goodwill of all of your neighbors, family and friends here and in Kaysville rest on your shoulders, so don't blow it. One other observation I had, it's quite an honor. I understand that you all have here in Kaysville a tradition of having high-ranking state officials come and do these swearings in. In 2010, I understand, at Mayor Hyatt's investiture, by invitation of the mayor, Governor Gary Herbert came and performed the ceremony. And I understand that the mayor tried to get Governor Herbert this time and couldn't, and then went to Lieutenant Governor Cox, who was unavailable, went down the line, and finally it was Councilman-elect Adams who cornered me at an event and said, hey, we need you. You're our fifth choice, but that's fine if you can show up. Sixth, yeah. I just wanted to be clear about that. It's great to be in Kaysville. The last time I was here, we were doing an event for a wonderful nonprofit organization called Operation Underground Railroad, fighting against child sex trafficking internationally. What a horrible, horrible pandemic that is. And it was amazing to see within a couple of weeks this community rally around in an incredible way. With so much volunteer spirit, so much charity, so much enthusiasm to raise money, but more than just the money, to raise awareness, to stand up and be a voice against this international evil. And so that says something about Kaysville. One other thing I understood is that y'all don't have a Walmart in here, and that's a good thing for me. Let me tell you why. When I was running back in 2012 and no one knew who I was beyond my family and a couple folks in the legal community, I was a member of a shooting club out in Saratoga Springs. How many of you been out that way? Former Mayor Mia Love, now Congresswoman Mia Love is out there. But you kind of had to off-road to get to the site and the range. And so what we would do is we would park in the Walmart parking lot, and all of our trucks would be there together. We'd put all of our weapons in one truck so we didn't have to ruin more than one vehicle, and then we'd off-road on the gravel to get out there. When we were done, everybody grabbed their guns, put them in their cars, and we dispersed. And that was what we did one day in the Walmart parking lot there in Saratoga Springs while I was campaigning. Now, I was sitting in my car after everybody else had left on the phone with my campaign manager, and within about 20 minutes, 2 squad cars pulled up. One was Saratoga Springs Police Department, the other Utah County Sheriff's Department. Any law enforcement in here? Let's go. I love law enforcement. We're the state's top law enforcement officer. I really think that they're getting a raw deal in terms of the media nationally, and I'm one of the ones who has tried every chance I get to speak out in support of law enforcement. But this was before I was the Attorney General, and I was just an average citizen in the Walmart parking lot on the phone, and the squad cars come up with their sirens on, and I say to my campaign manager, hold on a second, this is gonna be interesting. Someone's about to get busted here. Sirens going, I hear a voice, sir, please step out of the car. Saying to my campaign guy, what an idiot, whoever this is not even getting out of the car. He's gonna get in real trouble here. Finally I hear, sir, please get off your phone and step out of the car. Like, oh my goodness, I think they're talking to me. Hold on a second. My camping guys, hey, leave it on speakerphone. I want to hear what happens. So I get out of the car. They say, sir, please keep your hands up. Is there a problem, officers? Well, we had a report of a menacing brown man here in the parking lot brandishing a weapon. And this is how clueless I was. I say, officers, no, I've been here for about half an hour. I haven't seen anybody of that description. I would have done something about it. Heck, I'm running for Attorney General. You know, I would have made a citizen's arrest. You know, that's what we do. And they kind of both looked at each other and said, no, sir, we think you're the menacing brown man. Were you brandishing a weapon? And I said, no, we were shooting, and I just grabbed my rifle and put it in my car, and then I realized very overzealous citizen there in the Walmart parking lot had been concerned, and so that she had called it in. The good news was, after I explained to them the situation, I got them to both vote for me, take pictures and get on social media, and that was a win. called Mia Love on the way out to say, hey, Mayor, just want to commend you on the response time for your law enforcement, and I think you have the safest Walmart parking lot in the entire state, so good on you. So Walmart parking lots always make me a little nervous, and it was nice. I was informed that I'm safe here in Kaysville, not having to worry about that. You notice when I talked about who you've had come speak in the past, I said state public servants, and I didn't say politicians, and there's a reason for that. How many of you know the definition of politics? It really comes from two root words, right? I'm sure the senators heard this 100 times, but poly, which is the root meaning many, right? And then ticks, which is a word meaning little blood-sucking insects. And when you put those two together, that's what you have with politics and politicians. And how I define a politician is somebody who looks at a position or a title and says, how will that position benefit me? How will it advance my interests or my goals or agenda? Conversely, a public servant asks the opposite question, and that is, how will I serve that position or that title? How will I serve the people that it represents? And you all have some wonderful public servants, starting at our federal delegation, but also here in the legislature. And I want you to know what an incredible advocate Representative Wilson is for the interests of Kaysville and the people of Kaysville. And he's tremendous. In a short amount of time, he's established himself as one of the great leaders and the great legislators on the Hill. You know about Mayor Hyatt. I think he's doing a fantastic job. And I'm excited that you have 3 newly elected council members who are going to bring a lot of energy and excitement and enthusiasm, and I think they will all agree, and I know this especially for Councilman-elect Adams, that they are not perfect. They don't profess to be perfect. I got the mic. Well, we'll see. You get the final word, I think, at the end of the program. But they don't have to be perfect. They just need to be committed to doing their best, working hard at being engaged, listening, and making decisions that they believe will best benefit you, all the people and citizens of Kaysville. And I'm confident that they will do that. I also want to mention one other thing today, because I just came from a celebration at the state capitol. Today is Utah Statehood Day, so we're celebrating 120 years today of being admitted into the Union. But it's also the 100th anniversary of our Capitol building. So for 20 years, we did not have a building. And at the time that it was built, it was perceived to be by many ostentatious, and many asked the governor at the time, why would we build such a giant, enormous building for a population of 300,000 people in the state of Utah? And his response was something to this effect: it's not for the people of Utah today, it's for what we will become, and it's for the future. And there were a lot of critics who said, well, why are you placing it up high on Ensign or near Ensign Peak on the hill so that it overlooks everybody else? Is it a sign of arrogance, elevating yourselves above everyone else? I don't know what he said, but this is my view from somebody who works in that building every day, representing the people and doing the people's work, is that 1, it should be up high so that it's transparent and that everybody can see the work that's being done. But 2, it should represent the highest ideals and principles, the best angels of our nature. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, it should be from a vantage point that we can look out and remember every day who we represent. The government is of the people, by the people, and for the people, and that it represents all Utahns. Similarly, although this building is not high up on a hill, I think the same applies to those who are involved in local government. Some of you may have heard that I'm a big Comic-Con fan, and I like to do these events. Star Wars, I had a big Star Wars event. I really do like those things because I love the epic battles between good and evil. But those are really fictional battles, right? Those are heroes that we've created, and there are some unsung heroes, and those that I'd like to highlight are those who put themselves out in the public square. Perhaps the most important job in politics, or I should say in public service, is where it's closest to home, and that's here at a local level. And so the mayor and the city council, they do the most critical things that affect your lives the most. That also makes it the most difficult. Why? Because every decision that they make that affects all of these people, all of you, are decisions that they're making with people and for people whose kids they go to school with, whose kids go to school with theirs, I should say, who they go grocery shopping with, who they go to church with. And so I want you to be very active citizen participants, but I also want you to understand the sacrifice that goes into public service, the difficulty, and they will have to make very difficult, hard decisions, but I commend them all to you. I think they're people of honor, and I haven't had a chance to work with all of them, but by reputation, I know that they will do an excellent job. So, with that, I once heard a statement that said, if you, as a speaker, you don't strike oil within 5 minutes, then stop boring, and I will take that into account, end there, and begin performing, I think, if we can, the oaths of office. I was asked to do them one at a time, so I believe we will have Council Member-elect Page step forward first. I'm not very photogenic, so if you want to take photos, this is a great opportunity. You'll have to take a few for one to turn out well for me. He's a good-looking guy, so he's probably good with just one. You raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Larry Page, having been appointed to the office of City Council, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Congratulations now, Councilman. Appreciate it very much. One more. Clap. Take pictures. They changed the title here for the official signatures from the recorder, who is normally the person to do it, to person administering oath. I think they were supposed to put really cool person administering the oath, but we can make an amendment after that. And then next up, I believe we have Council Member-elect Adams, my good friend. He's going to come up. Now, I hope you had that memorized, because I'm not going to. I just need you to. Yeah? You want to see how well you do with?
I don't think I have the first word.
Ready? I, David Adams, having been appointed to the office of City Council, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Congratulations, Councilman. We're good. Oh, one more, Councilman. Actually, you have a fan.
There's one out there.
That's right.
Besides that.
Councilman told me that, unlike the rest of you who brought your large entourages and family, he came a little lean. His parents decided that this was so important that they would head off to Hawaii instead, where my mom is from. So I thought it's interesting that we would switch up. And then Councilmember Garn, are you ready to step forward? Already a public servant for the state, and now here for the city of Kaysville. Ready? I, Jake Garn, having been appointed to the office of City Council, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Wonderful. Congratulations. hardest thing for newly elected public officials. It's the paparazzi effect. Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I know you came to hear from our newly elected council members. Thank you for all that you do, for the values that you represent here in the state of Utah. This is the greatest state, no doubt, in which to live, in which to have a business, in which to raise a family. In Kaysville, you are an amazing place, and thank you for always welcoming here. God bless you all. Happy New Year, and have a great day.
Well, thank you very much, Attorney General Reyes. You know, as I reflect back on the governor coming 6 years ago and doing the same thing that you did today, I won't say who did a better job, but he was not recognized as a top 4 rising star among the Republican National Committee. But wonderful job. We really appreciate you being here today. At this time, we'd like to turn some time over to our newly elected council members, Larry Page, Dave Adams, and Jake Garn, in that order, to say a few words.
Well, I'll just take a few minutes. First of all, I want to thank everyone that come out today to support the candidates. This has been an incredible experience, I think, for everyone that's participated in this process. I think of all the thousands of people hours that have been spent campaigning, and especially to the candidates who have spent hundreds of hours knocking on doors and having meetings with the citizens of Kaysville. It's been a great blessing to me personally, and I'm sure it is for them as well, and we appreciate your help. You know, we've seen an incredible thing happen to Kaysville this year. I don't know if you know this or not, but our average election turnout, we had 3 times more people vote in this election. And we almost had twice as many people vote than we ever had in the history of Kaysville. That's incredible. And I think that we're in the top probably 5% of the state for percentage of registered voters that actually come out and voted. And I think that says a lot to the citizens of Kaysville. You know, Montesquieu, who was a French philosopher, in fact, he was the man that our forefathers used. He developed a philosophy of the separation of power doctrine. And our forefathers actually used that when they worked on the Constitution. And we adopted many of his ideas. He mentioned one time, he says, the tyranny of a prince is not as dangerous as the apathy of a citizen in a democracy. And I remember on one occasion, I had a person during a cottage meeting that was having, and he made a comment, and he says, "What do you think is the greatest strength of Kaysville?" And I said, "The greatest strength of Kaysville is the people of Kaysville." And then he had a follow-up question. He says, "What do you think is the biggest weakness of the people, of Kaysville?" And I said, "It's the people of Kaysville." And in reality, that's true. And I think that this has been a wonderful thing to be able to watch and see and to have the people of Kaysville participate. I'm looking forward to have this opportunity to serve, and I do look at it as an opportunity. And I know that this is one of the greatest cities in not only Davis County and Utah, but in the country. What a wonderful place to raise a family. Our crime rate is low. It's a great place we have wonderful schools. This is just a wonderful opportunity for me. And I want you to know that I will do the very best I can. Thank you.
What's that? We're good? Yeah, I can sit down. Obviously, thanks to everybody who's supported. You know, it's kind of been a long run. You know, I'm as green behind the ears as it comes to this stuff. If I'd have known what a primary election meant, I probably would have ran like heck. You know, I mean, it was a long run to get this far. I'm not understanding that adds several months to a campaign. But we had a lot of fun along the trail. You know, I ask forgiveness to anybody who, thinks I ran a 7th grade campaign, but I sure had a lot of fun doing it. So if all it takes to continue to get Sean to visit Kaysville is to keep Walmart out, then I think you're going to be spending a lot of time here, because we'll continue to keep that barred out, buddy. if I ever obtain the level of his perfection too, even just in a smidge, it'll be an awesome day. Very glad to have Sean Reyes here. He's a good guy. He touched upon the OUR organization. I don't want to make this all about that, but I want to commend him for his work and what he's doing with that. It's amazing. A lot of you may have seen the signs around the summer and the event at Davis High. A little report on that. In about 3 weeks' time, Kaysville rallied together and raised over $80,000, for that, and donated it to the OUR organization, and did the same thing against sequentially in Bountiful, and they raised pretty close to the equivalent of that again in December. So it's a pretty neat thing, and Sean's really at the helm of it and really helping that thing just roll forward. It's awesome. I look out in the crowd and I see, Jake Garn here with us today. I remember as a kid going to his office in D.C., and it's just neat, to have shaken his hand and to see him here today now, and it reflected me back to my days of, being a disgruntled scout, I'll be honest. It was always Dad's thing for me to do scouting. I always was like, no, I don't want to do this. But I remember back to citizenship in the community. I can remember coming here, as part of my merit badge for that, to a city council meeting and whatnot. And so what a great opportunity now to turn around and try and give back. I love Kaysville. I grew up in Fruit Heights, but I feel they're one and the same. And, as Larry said, I echo, it's such a great place to be, such a great place to live. And I'm excited, for what we can do to make it great and continue to keep it great. Thank you all again for your support all summer long. I appreciate you and extend my love to you. And thanks again.
And thank you for being here today, and appreciate my family being here. During the campaign, Sharon spent a lot of time going out with me and doing door hangers and knocking on doors and just kind of holding the home front. And as Dave mentioned, it is quite a long stretch, but I learned a lot. Even though we've lived here for 30 years and raised our family, it's different driving to the store or driving to work, actually walking through all the neighborhoods and seeing what a beautiful community we really have. I can't tell you how many homes I'd walk by, even I couldn't knock on every door, but how many homes were people out working in their yards, or they were playing the piano, doing the things that our community does. And I think just remarkable. Kaysville, Larry mentioned that voter turnout, how amazing that was. 56% for a municipal election. Of course, I always think it should be 100% because my dad always would always mention that, and but still a phenomenal outcome. And we have so much in common. Sometimes we disagree a little bit on how maybe we should solve certain problems, but we share the same values in Kaysville, largely family values. And we've done a remarkable job, I think, in having a little less, of a more of a residential feel, I think, to the community. And we've been able to be one of the most efficient cities as far as use of tax dollars of any city in Utah. And so we'd like to continue that. And we can always do a little bit better, maintain what we have now, but strive to do a little bit better in the future, to use new tools and to be aware, but to involve the community as much as we can is also important. And I'm just very grateful to the people of Kaysville for entrusting me with this great responsibility, and want to do my very best. Just one quote, because it's the only one I can remember, but I remember my dad gave me a book on Washington once when I was very young, and I didn't want to read it at that time, and now I can't stop reading it. It took me forever to get out of the Revolutionary period and get to the Civil War. But I read a book recently on Lincoln, and the one quote I like, because it's simple, I can carry it with me, is, "When I do good, I feel good, and when I do bad, I feel bad." And so I hope to always do good, and I can't promise that I'll always make every decision right, but I will always promise to study the issues and make the best decision I possibly can on any issue. And I'm looking forward to working with Susan and Chris and Larry and Dave and Mayor Hyatt on the City Council, and with all the people of Kaysville. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you to our newly elected council members for your comments. Thank you again for your willingness to be here, to run, to show that you care about this community. Thank you to Attorney General Reyes for taking time out of his busy schedule to be here today. We most especially appreciate you giving Kaysville your time, for your wonderful example to the country, to the state, to our community, as a Filipino at heart, to the Philippine people as well. And thank you for everything that you do. We really appreciate the great example you are to all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our oath of office ceremony today. We invite you to stick around. We'd like to express our appreciation to city staff who has organized the room, who has set up refreshments here in the back. I can see the police officers are right there next to the candy bars, or so maybe get sent out. Maybe the fire chief could help kind of with an intervention there to make sure they don't go too quickly. But thanks to Linda Ross, our city recorder. I like to refer to her often as Superwoman. She does much more than just act as a city recorder, including organizing, getting all of our refreshments here. So you're welcome to stay and mingle as long as you'd like. Thank you for being here, and congratulations to our newly elected. Appreciate it. Really excited.